to the Rolex Monterey Motorsports Reunion 2024. Would you believe it? Half a century we've been coming here. 50 years. Steve Earle, what did he create back in 1974? Well, back then, there were just 60 cars, and most of the entries were from California. There was a couple from Texas and one from Arkansas. But now this is a truly worldwide event, and it's very special indeed. On track at the moment, the famous 1965 Honda that didn't get to race in the Formula One category because it's, well, it's a lot smaller capacity, so it doesn't really hold a candle. So they're trying to get it out. They tried to get it out yesterday, couldn't do it. Takuma Sato was hoping to give a run in it because obviously his love of Honda. But it's a nice precursor to what we have coming up, which of course is our next group. One of my favorites, and of course my hero. Well, I say of course my hero, but Mario Andretti, if he isn't your hero. I've been very privileged to spend quite a lot of time with Mario being at COTA. He was the ambassador for the first few years. And of course the Andretti family. I work with Adam Andretti in Trans Am, and of course so many of the Andretti's part of, whether it's Marco, Michael, you name it, they're always in the headlines. And I'm also welcoming into the booth Alan Orchard and Ryan, is it Berkey? Barkey. So welcome, gentlemen. First and foremost, what are you guys doing here?
Yeah, this is really new to us. So obviously I've worked in the industry in Formula One, and Ryan and I got together. We met last year at Bruce Mayer's collection in Hollywood, and we started a podcast together called The Road Show. And now we're out visiting all different events around the world, to be honest. So Goodwood Revival, Festival of Speed, Monaco Grand Prix. Amelia, oh yeah. And so this is obviously an iconic event for us to come to and just soak up some of the history of racing and cars.
So if I tune into the road show, what am I going to get?
You're going to get 4 people from different corners of the industry. So we have Dan Pilling, who works for Dirtfish, and he's got a very strong knowledge base around rally. We have Lindsay
I have
Jesh.
a very soft spot for Dirtfish.
Yeah,
Steve Rimmer gave me a full day at Dirtfish. Gave me his best instructor, or he said he was. And we had a lot of fun.
Amazing. It is a great facility. Great cars. You can really go let loose. We have Lindsay, I think, who was on your show earlier on.
Yes, yeah.
So she's steeped in Shelby history. Ryan obviously has a massive cars and coffee and community in Colorado that he's a part of. And I'm in England, so we're in 4 different locations.
Brilliant.
We're international, so it's very different, and people in all corners. So there's something for everyone. You know, check us out at the Road Show.
That is very, very cool. And what I mean, presumably the next show is going to be all about Monterey, right?
It certainly is.
100%. Yeah. This is our first time here.
Correct.
And my first time. And this
What do you think?
Yeah, exceeds every
It's
expectation.
mentally exhausting.
Yes.
It's just so much to
It's
process.
overload, isn't
Oh,
it?
in the very best way.
Well, you're not missing anything. We get 2 pace laps here, but I hope you're ready to talk about some good old Formula One cars, because we've got an array out here, and it's a beautiful collection, including a Jackie Stewart there. We've also got, I think, 5 marches, and we were talking about it yesterday. I don't think I've ever seen so many marches at a historic event, because obviously it's not the most favoured of marks there is.
No.
Favoured marks, there's one. Doesn't get any better than that.
Iconic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, what Mario did at the time, and when you look back at that time in Formula One, it really was, you know, you talk about how Verstappen and Honda and Adrian Newey have created the perfect time and purple patch for Red Bull. But it's always that way in motor racing, isn't it? It's a combination. 1980, when
Things
Williams
gel.
had that sponsorship,
Yeah.
had the design and had the, you know, work towards those. And the same with Mario at the time in the Lotus 79 in 1978. It was just, you know, that combination of everything they've been working towards.
It's that perfect storm in Formula One. You have the car, you have the driver, you have the team, the race engineer. And again, like the car that's in second there, Zach Brown's 1980 Alan Jones Williams.
Yeah.
You know, that's an iconic car, iconic time. It's the successful time for Williams. And you know, Zach is a racer. He hops in many cars out there and jumps in this, and he races it.
Yes, he does.
So it's exciting.
Yeah, I was saying yesterday, it'd be funny being Lando and Oscar in the current circumstances. I can imagine them sitting there going, yeah, but you said, like, you let me pass, and then he walks in and goes, all right,
Yeah, you can't lie to your boss, can you?
Well, but there's a slight bit more respect with a guy that actually does
it.
put the helmet on and
Yeah.
do what you do, and knows what you're going through, knows what your ego's all about, and has done it right from
And the
very
pressures
start.
and all those things, yeah.
And what a turnaround for McLaren, and we hope the same for Williams, as we've been talking about it. And it's great to see Tyrrell's out there and so many great cars. But let's start talking about what we are about to see in action. We got some good racing yesterday. Cal Meeker and Zach Brown. Let's see if they go at it. Dwight Matheson had a good run. And watch out for Martin Lauber as well in that 1979 Tyrrell. Guys, what memories, if any, have you got of these particular cars? Or do you have a favourite or one that you've been wanting to see on track?
As an Australian, obviously I'm going to go to the Jonesy one. That was when you have a national champion, it just brings the country alive. So that car, Williams, is credible engineering. It's great to see that out there again. So
now, I'm not being rude here, but I would say Alan Jones, and I know this because I've met him, is the epitome of what you'd expect from Australians in sport, and then take it to the next level, Australians in sport and motor racing.
Sure.
He is a hard-knuckle, no-messing guy.
Nicely worded. I wondered where you were going with that. So.
I know him because his son Christian raced in Asia in Porsche for a while, and got to know him. Christian did a great job. But Alan would
and
come
that's
to
why I
racing.
like seeing Oscar coming through. You see that quiet confidence with him that he's going to go far. You know, he has that grit.
Well, he's got that double combination. He's got a bit of the Weber and a bit of the Jones.
Yes.
You know that there's a steely eye in there. and he hasn't. And he's also kind of got the affability of a Ricciardo. So he's kind of amalgamated everybody.
Yeah, and we're likable people as well. That's good.
Yes, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
What a good-looking group of cars.
It is.
It is. Yeah.
I remember growing up, that Jackie Stewart car was definitely on my little shelf in a little dinky. Oh, what a sound. Doesn't get much better. Now, let's have a look at this 35 going through here. I'm just trying to find the list here. Got me Group 10s.
And it's great to hear raw engines again. Those DFVs are, they just makes your heart sing, doesn't it? Listening
totally.
to those. So.
Well, and as Ford come back,
of course,
the stats. Everybody talks about the most great, engine in Formula One. Well, nobody is going to stop Ford from taking that, and if they start as they finished as they were, but that DF engine was, I think it's 183 wins in total.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, that's because everybody used it, so that's what happens. Who else do you want to talk about? Let's have a look. Well, we've got Martin Lauber in that shadow, so we do have some American cars out there at the moment. Good to see.
But it's always good to see the Ferrari as well. It's
wow.
iconic cars still, aren't they? So.
Oh, no question. And, of course, that is a similar car to the one that Nicky drove to the championship. And also the car that he had his massive accident and then lost the championship to James Hunt in by, 1 point?
But taking a Formula One car around Laguna Seca must be an experience because modern Formula One tracks don't have corkscrews,
No.
To turn in, what does it, look at the second gum tree or second oak tree?
No, the oak tree, yeah.
That's it. So, sorry, it's the Aussie, gum tree.
Gum tree.
Gum trees here.
It's big in Australia.
I know, I love it.
And so can you imagine full gas through the corkscrew in anything is daunting, even the Duesenbergs earlier on. So.
Yeah.
Just as a first-time visitor, I can't get over the elevation here. It's like nothing else.
And we've been saying it all day, TV doesn't really give it full credit.
Elevation is crazy. Even just driving it on the perimeter
Absolutely.
road, it's a mountain climb.
Yeah, it totally is. That truly is, again, growing up, those are the cars you remember, that Ferrari. I suppose 75, 76 was when I really, I think I was probably about 12 or something, and I really started following the cars and, like I said, buying the toys and asking for them for Christmas. I used to rate. I was at boarding school, so I wrote to all the Formula One teams and got stickers and signed things for my dorm.
I did the same, yes. But it was an interesting time because these cars, they went to tracks that we don't go to now, like, Kyalami and those sorts of places. It really it just excited so many young kids, and I was one of those people as well. That's what really got me into Formula One, and early Adrian Newey, Leighton House cars.
Yes.
Yeah,
we forget those. The early days of Adrian Newey, even going back to his IndyCar days, people forget that he spent a lot of his informative times. Just saw the Shadow DN9 heading out of the pit, so we hopefully will see Martin Lauber out on track. There's the 28. That's the Penske PHC4, talking of American cars again. Penske, a short time in Formula One, and even a short time for Pinelli Jones's cars. Pinelli Racing having a quick juncture into Formula One briefly, and Mario also played a part in that too. But of course, he's known for his time with Lotus and Ferrari. I loved a lovely comment he made about his early days when Enzo approached him at first to drive the car, and he kind of declined and said, actually, I'm doing pretty good in 5,000 and Can-Am and all that kind of stuff. And
yeah.
Racing in America was more lucrative, and a few years later he was able to name his price.
What a view, though, that landscape just behind there. And it's like watching Tour de France, the bikes
really
going
is.
through. It's an iconic location. But I thought for a period we were going to lose this track, weren't we? There was a risk.
That's right.
But now that's being shored up for the next, several
Honestly,
years.
I think that ahead of this week and this weekend, I think that's the biggest news to take away from here. Of course, we'll be announcing what's happening next year. But to have the stability for those of us who do know Laguna and the struggles that it's, when it's run by a city council, it's always going to be political. You'll always have people with opinions that aren't the same as yours. But now with a group of organisers and council people, Friends of Laguna, they are called, and they are full of either ex-racing drivers or people from the motor racing industry, and they are going to preserve, quite literally preserve, this very special event, and many like it here at Laguna.
Well, what an economic force.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I mean,
bringing in this week the revenue into here.
I feel like half the world is here this week. Right?
I'm staying on the beach. It's the best I could get. I tried to get into a Motel 6, but no.
That's upmarket, yeah.
Motel 600, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, bit of a whiff of something coming out
the
the back there.
But it doesn't look too gnarly, does it? Now, I had the Tonka toy of that.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely did. And I had an Emerson Fittipaldi one, too, with the JPS colours.
But
Didn't know what cigarettes were back then. I just thought it was a nice colour.
They're the sugary things you chew on, aren't they? Yeah, exactly.
But it is true, though, that era, if the tech industry is the new cigarette industry for Formula One.
It is indeed, yes.
These colours, these JPS colours, were so distinctive. Carlos Reutemann, you name it, so many great drivers, Emerson, obviously, I mentioned, and of course, Mario.
We had Andrew Marriott on our show recently.
Yes.
Oh,
legend.
we did, yes.
Legend, absolute legend.
Did you extend the show? You needed to.
We had to in half an hour.
We hardly got a word in.
And then you thought, we should ask a second question.
You're not far off. But he went on and on about Mario.
Oh, yeah, he was.
He was
his favorite.
choice of legends.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I
for
can believe
sure.
that.
Now, Andrew was amazing. He was.
Absolutely.
Well, I said to Ryan, it's going to be the easiest podcast for us. We can ask him a question and sit back, and he will just go. So
that's exactly
But I marvel. I worked with Andrew for a long time back in London when I was working with Sky, and I used to work on his 3-hour motorsport program, things like Talking to Nippon. And he would come in the morning, and I'd bring in like I have today, thousands of notes. Never read them. Thousands of notes. Mario would just walk in before we went to record, and he'd sit there, and it would come straight off the top of his head.
Yeah.
I mean, photographic memory. I don't know what he's got up there.
How he retains it. But he did say, preparation is everything.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
as you can tell, we've prepared really hard for this.
I can see you got your T-shirts on and came here.
In the 5 minutes warning that we had, yeah.
We're nothing if not promoters.
Exactly.
Well, I can tell you, Cal Mika is leading the way at the moment in that Tyrrell 009. And Cal, definitely one of the favourites here. Sadly, Charles Nurberg, who had hoped to take his Williams FW07 out, did not get a chance to do so. He had an electrics problem. He said everything just lit up on the dash, and so he kind of got a bit spooked by that, and he and Cal Mika were going at it at the time, so he just pulled out the way and allowed Cal to take it up. but he won't care.
But we went down to Zach's garage, and we spoke with the crew chief down there, Flowers, and talking through some of the complexities of running these cars. With the DFE engine, fuel and gearbox, that's fair enough. Easy to get relatively easy to get parts for, but the rest of it they have to make themselves if there's an issue. And these are iconic cars. There's no aerodynamic data to lean on. They have to learn their way through every track. And Zach gets in the Silk Cut Jag.
Yeah.
He gets into the Jonesy Williams. There's some of these other guys. They're doing week in, week out in these cars. So,
and I learned a great story this weekend. And you always take something away. And I was told that Zach Brown started his racing career here at the Skip Barber School because he won a prize in a TV competition.
That's
won some
right.
money.
That did the rounds. Yeah.
And came and so.
That's
and now look at him.
Living our dream.
I know, it's brilliant.
You can do it too.
Yeah, yes. There you go. No, I love stories like that. I don't knock anybody who, takes a chance and makes it into something.
But he works hard. He runs Autosport, United Autosport.
Yeah.
And they are committed to modding Le Mans cars, and he puts a lot of effort in. So.
Well, there's Martin Laube in that 78 Shadow DN9, driven 78 at the Silverstone International Race of Champions by Clay Regazzoni. I got his autograph, I remember, as a kid.
Oh, what a legend.
I know, I love Clay Regazzoni. He spun off, and then a few laps later crashed into spinning Mario Andretti's Lotus 97. He totaled the Shadow and rebuilt the T-car later in 1978. Ran in 1978 US Grand Prix, driven by Hans Stuck.
In fact, I think isn't there two Hans Stuck cars?
Yeah, I think there are, yeah.
So.
We've got a Tyrrell 04, John Dimmer at that one. And we're just looking at the number 14 coming through shot now. And this is your leader. And actually interesting, this is an interesting part about this car. Sold to Cal Meeker in 1986 and confirmed that the car was used to implement a research program into the dynamics of active suspension during the 79-80 seasons. Think about that.
That's iconic time.
We got our knickers in a twist in the early 90s about active suspension and what was Schumacher and Benetton up to. Well, they were just doing what they were doing back in 1979.
But talking about aerodynamics, that 1980s Williams is a ground effect car.
Yeah.
So it has side skirts, and to keep it safe and fair, Flowers was telling us this morning that they have to run it, I think it's 4 centimeters off the ground. So that car is capable of much
lower,
more,
yeah.
So.
Well, and that is a current situation in Formula One currently, isn't it? How high do you run the cars? And certain tracks will suit the Red Bull, other tracks will suit the McLaren or the Mercedes. And we're back to some of the same problems that they had back in the day. Well, Cal Meeker's having an easy time of it out front. Zach Brown not giving him a challenge today, but that's okay. He's had a busy weekend, is Zach?
Certainly has.
Well, he stopped right outside my commentary booth yesterday in the Silk Cut Le Mans car.
I think they had a transmission or a diff issue, and they had to retire it.
Here's the 27 of Zach Brown. And as you said earlier, this was the winner of the 1980 World Championship in the hands of the great Alan Jones of Australia. And again, when you think about modern day Williams, that coming together of the right sponsors, the right drivers, and the right design as we move ever closer to 26 and, a new era of Formula One. You just wonder if Williams will get back to this stage of success that we all know they can have. And I do think that the way they're rebuilding that team post both of the Williams, obviously Claire and Frank, I do hope that their legacy will continue. And
obviously
Williams
back then you had a really force in there with Frank and Patrick Head.
Yeah.
And now James, obviously. But, you can never rule them out, can you? Because you look at where McLaren was a year and a half ago and where they are now. They are building. They're building up, aren't they? So it's going to be exciting, to where it's going to be by the end of the year and into the into next season. And
the more I listen to James Vowles, the more I have respect for what he's doing, how he's treated the likes of Sargent, which was never an easy situation, especially given the market in America and the fact that Doralton Capital are their backers and people like Michelob and so on have jumped on board. Never easy. He's given him every chance possible. I hope it turns good for him because he's a great kid.
Let's look at Sargent, because anyone who's in Formula One is a very capable driver.
Oh, yeah.
Or 99.9% of the time. But if you look at his lap times at Monaco, incredibly tough track, where he hooked in behind Lando and paced the same lap time and kept his wheels clean, his nose clean. So he's a good driver, and he just gets a hard rap, I think. You know, it'd be great to see an American driver up there and successful again, you know, mixing it.
Oh, no question. I mean, any of the IndyCar drivers, past and present, could be in Formula One. You know, we talk currently about Palou and obviously Pato O'Ward, but really, you know, they're all of a nature of a skill nature that is so good. As we take a look at this 1982 March F1 car, Octavia Rinken at the wheel, and we go back to the 3 of Dwight Matheson in the number 3, pedaling his way.
White flag.
Yep, white flag. That's another one of the Tyrrell 009s, Matheson driving. Coming out. That yellow helmet suits that car perfectly, doesn't it? I love it. But yes, wind it down, and the great attraction, of course, to any historic event is a Formula One display as we honor Mario Andretti, one of 2 American world champions in F1.
I think a lot of these guys also take their cars to the Heritage round that supports, I think, at COTA as well.
Yep.
So, you know, people are going to get a chance to see these and some others and more. So
yeah, looking forward to that. I'll be doing, I live in Austin, so I'll be doing that race
nice.
for F1. But obviously we do the undercard as well, so looking forward to that. Great to have historics back. I really hope we can get more single-seaters at that event. I'd like to see FR and the current F3 race cars that we race here in the States. Not happening in a few years, but it could do very easily. We had the W Series a couple of years ago, and of course Miami had the F1 Academy. So there's always some good undercards, and Porsche are always ever present.
absolutely, and I was lucky enough to be at Silverstone this year, and they had again the past F1 cars, and so there were some of the V10s screaming around. It's fantastic memories for me as a boy growing up, and going to Adelaide when I went to the last Adelaide Grand Prix and the first Melbourne Grand Prix, and when I knew it was going to move, I had to at least experience it.
I was at the first Melbourne Grand Prix, and I interviewed, what's his name, Andrew, the guy who ran, and still does, I think, runs the event.
Okay, well, we actually have a young guy, Pat, who works at the Melbourne Formula One Association. He's coming on our show, actually, next week, so yeah, it'd be great to get a window into his...
Now, hang on a minute. Cal Mika has pulled over before the line. No! Oh, no! Alain Mansell, push it.
And that's the
Can we jump down there and help?
I mean, you feel for it. And he's right in front of our commentary booth. He's right there.
Oh, it's heartbreaking.
Get your cameras out, folks. You don't want to see that.
Motorsport is just an ungrateful mistress, isn't it?
Isn't it? It just keeps, the more it gives, it just keeps taking away. Oh, what a shame.
No.
Well, there you go. So, ironically, here's the headline. CEO of opposition team wins in America. It's true. Zach Brown, the CEO of McLaren, wins in a 1980 Williams to take the 2024 Mario Andretti Trophy. There'll be a trivia question in years to come, won't there?
Take that trophy
Who
home.
won the historic race in 2024 to celebrate the 50th, and what was he driving and why? We'll take a short break. We'll be back with a moment.